Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Welcome back.
I hope everybody's doing great out there.
We really, really do.
So we see this out of Breaking 911. CBS network goes dark for users across the country. Actually, if you look at Down Detector, there's a lot of people, a lot of different companies out there that had issues today. And, you know, we could see them right here. You see Fox News over there. You see CNN over there. Google had some as well. Apex. Quite a few had some issues, but we've kind of been expecting this because this is what we have gotten from the Galactics. They said we're going to see a lot of intermittent outages.
Mm-hmm. We are, and not to be completely afraid because it is going to come back up off and on.
Yeah, just sporadic. And what is your feeling, or did you get any messages on what's the cause of this? Is this coming from the sun, or is this probing and testing by some powers that be?
No, this is probing and testing by powers that be. They're changing over the communication system, and they're also doing a changeover in us, our consciousness. So it's kind of like a twofold thing. It's to disrupt us, to disrupt the communication, and it is going to disturb our ability to evolve because it's going to upset a lot of people. So it has a few different meanings to it. It's deliberate.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a lot going on that is definitely purposeful, let us say. And, we did our usual routine today. So we did 2 mantras and meditation sessions. And the first one was in the morning under the sun and getting some tan lines coming in. Sun's intense as the downloads are coming. And we've gotten a lot of messages about what's coming in. So, many of you out there have made the suggestion, let's do like guided prayer. And then when we've done that, we haven't really had everybody get in, but I would just like to put it out there for everybody, to please do send your intentions of peace and love and harmony for the coming week. This week is going to be obviously historic, and the tensions are rising on both sides right now.
And what's really important, from a, maybe it's a shamanistic point of view, I'm not sure, but when you do make this intention, also make the intention to have it merge with others like you. So
merging, like see your good intentions, your wishes going out there into the universe and connecting with others, and see it become a tidal wave of positivity that engulfs the planet.
Exactly. Yep.
Because the darker side is doing just the opposite. And Cindy, this morning in meditation, all of a sudden, I think you said something like "you" or "yuck" or something that grossed you out. And I asked you what, and you said you actually saw like these reptilian demonic spirits that were actually kind of latching onto people's backs. And we've run into that with people with energy work, where these things literally attach onto you and start like sucking off the life force through negativity.
Well, what was so horrid is that the visions came when I was eating, and it was such a good meal, and then boom, I have this vision of these reptilians backpacking on people, like attached to their nape of their neck and feeding on them. And it's like they really deliberately had to interrupt my meal for that, which was kind of irritating. But then I got to thinking about it. I think some ways these beings are able to attach onto people is through food, eating bad food, actually.
Yeah, stuff that lowers your vibration, GMOs, etc., white sugar, things along those lines. There are a ton of things that you may be given a piece of paper, that you would take that piece of paper to a certain place and get it filled, if you know what I mean. Those things, for the most part, will lower your vibrations seriously. So always doing things the natural way is much, much better for you in the long run, because they do literally lower your ability to ward off these type of things. We have to keep our vibrations really high. And as Cindy was saying, keeping the vibrations high almost makes you invisible to the other side.
really, really important when you do go through natural remedies using herbs and stuff like that. Very important to not be on the high fructose corn syrups or the sugars.
I thought this was interesting because, we've been seeing animals testing positive for the plague on the land, and so is ice cream from the fine dining ware country. Interesting. And, there was a prophecy out there, and I still can't remember who did it, that said there would be food on the shelves, but people would be afraid to eat it because of contamination. And then, there's articles out there right now showing that there are people on the left, there are people on the right, ARMED to the hilt, and they're heading for capitals across the country, and they're on divergent sides, so the chances of this getting bad is pretty high. So that's something to be aware of. Obviously, don't get drawn into the drama. We keep getting this message too, to let as many people know as possible. Don't be pulled into the drama. These fake banners, we've been talking about these fake banners, right? FF. That can be initiated at any time, anywhere. And if you're out there in the middle of something like this, you might be PPing, peacefully doing your thing, so to speak. You might be, but there might be other forces out there that have other plans. And, when you look at it, if somebody let off an M80, it could cause a horrible accident to happen.
It really, really could. And it's almost like they're setting things up in a particular alignment that's coming up for people to make accidents or get angry and just say, oh, screw it, and then do something bad.
And that's exactly what they want, because then just think about everything that we've had, every little thing that happens, the lockdowns just get more intense. And, now we got, as you can see, fences and barbed wire all over the Capitol. And the majority of Americans say that other Americans are the biggest threat. That's really a sad situation. Now, look at the manipulation that has gotten us to this point. It's been, in many ways, a masterful act of Machiavellian, and I remember Cindy saying, Machiavellian, what's Machiavellian? It's a classic work that's very, very old. I think 1400s, 1500s, or maybe 1350s. But Machiavelli wrote a book called The Prince, and it's all about how you basically get your enemies to fight themselves, and then after they've taken care of each other, then you just waltz on in and take everything over. That's Machiavellian, and that's what's happening here. And it's working because, for the most part, people are still, they're still so, they're not awake. We still don't have the majority awake, and that's a dangerous situation.
It really is, and there's so much of this manipulation going on, and there is a way to manipulate things for a greater good. Like when you're trying to lead someone to a higher truth, that's one thing. But then they have this inverted, dark manipulation that's going on, which is just horrid.
Yeah, I was watching video of, one of my favorite places that I lived, which was Columbus, Ohio. Maybe not the weather so much and the gray skies in the winter, but the people were wonderful. Great restaurants, great shopping. Good people, good solid place to live. And here you have people that are, again, armed to the hilt on both sides, and they're heading to Columbus. It's not a good situation. I don't like to see that either. My kids are right there, so that doesn't feel good and make me feel good at all. But this is exactly what's going to be happening in many other capitals as well across the nation. Cooler heads have to prevail, and it's going to be tough when there's so much there's so much forces. There's so many forces out there that are orchestrating everything to such a high degree.
They are, and it's being taken advantage of, and it's being used and abused, and to create this huge mess. And we do, as a collective, everyone who's listening, we really, really do need to send our energy to a more peaceful outcome to make this change.
It's crazy to see, but there's even reports out there saying that there are sides, over on the left there, that doesn't even trust the NG, the national, and perhaps even wanting to have the NG disarmed because they don't trust them. And again, these are reports coming out of certain places. You could find them on Twitter. You could find them on like Godlike Productions and some other forums out there where people are openly talking about what they're hearing and seeing. And so, there's like craziness that's coming. Like I don't think we would have been able to have imagined 6 months ago, a year ago. We wouldn't have imagined it being as crazy as what is, looking like it's going to turn out.
I know. We just really need to hold on tight for this one because it's something that needs to happen to make change. But I don't see where so many people need to be hurt.
Yeah, what needs to happen is the system has to go and change, completely change. And as we've said, you can't put a Band-Aid on this. The other thing to recognize is no matter what happens, whether there was a peaceful transition, you're going to have too many people just so upset and just not going to accept it. So really, the best thing to happen would be agreeing to disagree, and then in a civil manner, try to figure out a way of separating. Again, it's time for divorce. This is not working. This is not working, and the sides are starting to hate each other, to loathe each other, and that's not good. That's not the vibrations we want put out here, because those vibrations are going to lower everything and stop the ascension process.
Right, and that's done by design. So when we start to realize that and recognize how much of this stuff is out here, they set it out there for the taking. It's up to us if we're going to take this garbage or not take the garbage. It's totally up to us.
Yes. So again, guys, be prepared, put out your positive vibes, say your prayers, do your meditations, and prepare yourself and your family and your friends as best as can be, and do not become part of the chaos. Rise above the chaos. Don't let yourself be dragged into the chaos. And thank you for being part of this family. Make sure you are subscribed, and thanks for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. Anybody that needs to get us to set up an appointment, it's evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail or EEARTS@protonmail.com. As always, guys, God bless and namaste.
Namaste.